AI is not the enemy. I see AI as a tool, as an assistant. You know, look at it like you're in a kitchen and you want to cook. So AI would help you chop your vegetables, but you will put the soul into it. The same thing applies to writing. So we have evolved over time from Tales by Moonlight, that's the fireside storytelling, to scripts, that's paper books, to radio, to TV. Our generation now is blessed with AI, right? The only thing is that we need to memorize these three things. So the medium has changed, the audience has changed, and the technology has changed. So to me, AI has its pros and its cons. So for the writer, we can use AI for ideation. So help with ideas, help with research, and all of that. But it is the writer that puts the soul to the writing. AI will tell you what it is, and the writer will tell you how it should be. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, before I come to you, Ralph, I would like Jane to answer this question. As president of PEN, really, would you say that AI has been or can inspire a writer? At least we're thinking of maybe young writers now. How far would you say a writer should rely on AI for inspiration? Or you know, there's a bit of there's some danger here, because if one relies too much on AI, the AI tool could actually take over the writing process. And so we want to find out from you how much of AI involvement should a writer actually rely on for the writing process. Thank you.
Thank you very much. For me, right, how much of AI should a writer use? I would say you could use about 30 to 40% of it, particularly in the area of the check on grammars, right? If you have done something and you think, oh, I want to check my grammar, am I on point with it? Yeah, you could use AI to. I also like to put out that as writers, when you're trying to pour out your heart, you know, you're passionate about your plot, but then in the process of writing, you just get stuck. You can't move forward, you can't go backwards, you want to take some time off, maybe fresh ideas would come. Yeah, you have to that could help you. You already have the plot. The thing is, you should have the idea in you, and then when you get stuck, you can put it, you know, into AI tools to help you develop that particular plot. Not that you would ask AI to write the entire story for you. I'm not a full user of AI. I can check a few things, particularly in my recent book, I used it for intonation, maybe 1% of it, because I already outsourced it to someone who did it. And I was then trying to check what he did versus what AI did. Shockingly, there were some words that he did the intonation better than AI, because we know that in Yoruba language, you can have a word that has 3 or 4 meanings, but AI does not have that originality. AI does not know it. So a professional knew it and did it. But I'm not going to rule out the fact that there were some words that AI got correctly because they were just blank and they were out there. So as a writer, I would say you could use AI 30%, you know, to check your grammar. If you get stuck at some point, rather than abandoning your work, we've got writers that would abandon a project for 3, 4, 5, 10 years because they can't just move forward with it. Yeah, you could utilize the AI tools to just move you out of that plot. Shockingly, you could even get new plots. Now, when I tried to use AI, I realized that my entire plot changed. And I'm like, no, that's not what I want. That's not the story I want to write, right? And then I put it back now, no, that's not what I want. And then he's asking me, what do you want? I tried to explain again, there was no going forward, and I said, you know what? My originality is 100%. I would only use AI tools to amplify or to improve the bits I want to be improved. So in conclusion, AI tools we shouldn't overly depend on the use of AI. If you won't have anything up there to give, if we do not have AI tomorrow, what then would happen? We'll stop being writer. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, ma'am. I think that agrees with my own idea that we should not be too dependent on AI. Because area of grammar, grammar checks, I really do, because when I write poetry mostly, I have my peculiar meanings for expressions, which AI may not understand. And so I wouldn't want to rely on the AI interpretation of my words if I want to really maintain my voice, and my creativity. So that's one thing in that area I don't really feel comfortable relying on AI for editing. That's one thing. But I use AI copiously for my research. Yes, but maybe I'm a bit emotional about creative writing, so I try not to get, definitely not. So I want to remain myself. So that's one reason. So, sir, Ralph, would you actually say, would you say that AI is truly creative, or your experience? Would you say that it's only how to mimic human ideas? Because at least I have my own perspective about this. That how creative do you think AI is or can be? That might be that issue of the magnetic aspect of AI. Is it mimicking human ideas and now bringing it to you if you request some info along that line, or would you say AI is truly, genuinely creative?
Thank you. The question whether AI is creative, I think, yes, AI is creative. Is it mimicking? Yes. I think another question to answer that question is AI's creativity original? It is authentic? The answer is no. AI is actually giving you what has already been created right there, in the digital world. Then if we must treat writing, which is the theme of this reimagining creative writing of intelligence, as a writer, I should be using myself as an example. I have crisscrossed about, let's say, 2 or 3 generations now in my writing career. If I want to use 10 years as a generation, it was not really at the peak in this part of the world. So I could find myself in libraries where I would need to do extensive manual research in terms of writing. I will rummage through books depending on what I'm researching on, then take notes copiously. At the end of the day, I'll embark of AI, but they are not exactly the same with creative writing, with literature. It's a different ballgame. As Folu rightly said about poetry, okay, I know Grammarly has actually evolved. Before, we used to use Grammarly just to correct grammar, but now Grammarly has evolved as far as editing, as far as even suggesting where you can find your audience, and also suggesting how you can market your creative work. But in all of that, the authentic voice is still lacking. If you don't have it as a writer, AI can never give you authenticity. There is no way AI can give you authenticity. So you should develop your original voice as a writer, then use AI as a collaborator when you talk about partnership, collaboration, AI is perfect, you know, but for you to use AI as original creativity, for you to use AI to tell authentic story, in my honest opinion, it is impossible. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Coming back to CMO, I had known you to be a prolific writer since how many decades ago now? Maybe almost 2 decades. And then, well, that was before the advent of AI. She had been very active as a writer. And even with AI now, she hasn't actually slowed down. Someone who has written over 40 books. So I want to find out how, and I've had the honor to actually edit some of her stories. And so I can say something about your style, your voice. So how would the introduction of AI or intervention of AI now, how have you been able to maintain your voice, that same voice that you reflect?
I still need to put in the work. The work still needs to be done. So I have a writing structure that I follow. I created the structure like a writing process, and it helps me to plan my writing before I start execution, and that is what has worked for me over the years. So I try that as well with AI. So I give it the structure I have created, and I say, use this to write the story, and it came out. So you have to try to see how you can make it work for you as a tool, not as a replacement. So I know that with what is going on now, I'm able to write more. Still, I still have that part of me that wants to use me to write my many books. AI can help with some ideas, or the same way I'll speak with Dr. Folu and say, oh, I'm stuck here, what do you think? You can ask AI, I'm stuck here, what do you think? AI might give you 10 different ideas. You know how to use those ideas to move forward. That's where your creativity comes in. 10 different ideas, how can they work for me? So that's how I've been able to use that to manage it, because most competitions or contests that I get into, they give you writing prompts. Okay, so this is a prompt, write a story with it. And most times, these stories become books. You develop them into short stories, novels, epics, and they grow. So that's what AI can help you with. Ideas, how to move forward, but the writer still has the final say in that.
Yeah, sorry, follow up now. Would you say that AI will actually help writers to avoid writer's block? Giving ideas of what to write. At times we run out of ideas, really. And that's when you now say there's a writer's block. Now, with the assistance of AI, can really AI prompt you, maybe even generate some inspiration for you to give you some writing idea?
Okay, before I answer that question, I would say that my thought has always been this, that there's nothing like writer's block. Ever since I created my writing structure, I complete my book before I start. So when I want to start my writing process, I start with the beginning, the middle, the ending. So I know how the story ends before I actually start writing. I have a character sheet, different types of characters, what roles they play. I also have a settings sheet. So this is how it's going to be broken down. The first chapter is set in the past, in the present, in the future. So I have all of this already crafted. That's where most of the work comes in. The writing now comes easier. That's for me. For writer's block, I also believe that AI can help. Before I had my writing structure, I used to ask as well. I asked people, what do you think? I want to give a surprise ending, and the first thing that comes to my mind, I know it cannot work. So this is a scenario, what do you think? Give me different ideas, and I'll pick the one that is less predictable. I think AI can do that for you as well, once you give that kind of prompt for them. so it can actually help with writer's block.
Thank you very much. To President of PEN, what would you say about the face of books now in this generation? You know, there's many platforms now, all kinds of e-books and e-publishers and the rest of them. Some seen as a kind of threat to the copy. So I know. Yes, I have privilege of seeing your new book, maybe upcoming book. So what's your attitude? Would you say, because I was here, it was in this kind of, it was a book and art festival about how many years ago now, before Erifai became governor of Tathagata State, that his book, Accidental Civil Servant, was being launched here, and somebody picked a copy of that book and said, these books are going out of extinction, they are going out of fashion, they are going to extinction, and so we should stop wasting time trying to publish books, hard copy. And that person, just picked that book at that event and dropped it and said, these things are going out of fashion. So, and that was about 10 years ago. So what would you say, Tony, about that, and the fact that a lot of people, even Ralph said it, that he hardly picks books to read, he prefers to engage books via his phone. So what would you say about the future of books?
Okay, thank you, sir. About the future of books, actually, that's traditional printing, right? I actually think it's going into extinction, but certain needs to be used in schools. You can never recommend a book for a school and expect it to be a soft, it has to be printed. So for that purpose, physical books will never go into extinction. But as a writer, if that's to preserve your book forever, actually, we need to utilize the traditional publishing and the online publishing, so that when you sell the traditional copies and after a while you can't even find them again, right? You can always go online. Now, if you want to through Amazon or these tools online, you would realize that they give you the option to sell the print or the soft copy. Where to buy the print would pay extra, more. So yeah, I know that with the advent of e-books and all that, we keep getting less books printed, particularly because the online are wage and the productions are more efficient than the traditional production. If you want to publish a book today, it takes about, 12 weeks minimum before you get your book out physical. But if you want online, in a couple of minutes you upload and then it's out there. The moment for Amazon, once they approve it, it goes live. So yeah, traditional is going. But don't believe it will totally go into extinction. We will still have books that will be published physically because they need to be read by our students, by our children, and they can never be online print. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Ralph, I suspect, I may not be a seer or something, but I suspect that you are not totally in agreement with her perception about traditional publishing, which she tends to actually want to narrow down to textbooks. Because when we actually, who is a writer? A writer, well, who is an author? I think originally an author might not be a writer of the textbook.
So I wasn't actually referring to books. I'm referring to literary. For every class, be it just 1, 2, 3, 4, they have about 4 to 5 novels they have to read. So those are books that will not be given to them as e-books. They have to be printed. So as an author, you will still need to your book.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes, I turned to him because some might seem as old school, as an old school author. Yes, talking about digital publishing and traditional publishing, that can actually bring us to the verge of something about why do people write. You know, so many people have various reasons for writing, for publishing books. Some, in a lot of cases, I know people, I shouldn't bring myself into it, but somebody has asked me, a publisher has asked me that question before, and I gave so many reasons, and he kept saying, no, you haven't given me the reason why you have written this book, why you have written so many books, you know, saying that you want to reform the world, you want to change the world, you want to reshape the world, you want to educate or something. And he kept saying, no, that is not a good reason, you know, for writing. Eventually, he now said, you mean you don't need money? You know, because he expected me to say, I need to make money. Which some of us might consider the list of the reasons why people should really write, at least maybe some old school thinking. So, and that will actually speak to things about traditional. Why would you say a book published traditionally should still be done, despite the fact that you have the alternative to put it online and make money from video, book, or online digital and make fast money, and you insist on having something put on some shelf, you know, for posterity or something, you know. So you want to address that?
Okay. Yeah, traditional publishing. I will start by saying that it's a chain that the digital revolution has been working so hard to break. Let's not forget how that chain used to work. You as a writer, first your business is to go through the gestation period like pregnancy. Then, as one writer rightly said, that writing is about 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. So your business is to sweat it out and bring out something novel, something new. Then the editor edits. It goes through that chain where the publisher and all the people, the marketer and all the rest of the people that are involved in that. So you give birth to something that you don't own completely, because there are other, even in the acknowledgement, you need to acknowledge all the people that play the role. Then along the line, we began to have vanity publishing, where you as an author will write, sometimes even edit, which is not supposed to be. I never, none of my published book, I didn't edit any of my published book. I will always give it out for editing, then for proofreading and all of that. For me, what that does before you now have the physical book is that a whole lot of professionals in that chain must have gone through your work, and oftentimes there are frustrations. There are people who don't even want to see what, they just tell you that no, this is not publishable. It happened a lot to some of the authors, classic authors that we know today. We also know what T.S. Eliot did to that popular writer. I think the author of Animal Farm, or one of those. There was a particular English author that T.S. Eliot and his gang almost frustrated, who later became a very popular author. So that is not the point here. My point is, through all of that processes, you now have something that you relate to it. I have used different analogies to describe a book. And I will give another example of radio. You know, for those of us who also grew up with the radio culture, you grew up in a house where very early in the morning, your dad owned this transistor radio. Then you begin to listen to BBC, you begin to listen to VOA, you begin to listen to all of those, including your local stations. If you, in retrospection today, because I have been a practicing journalist, And I got into journalism not because I studied mass communication, but because of my background as a writer and also my background as in, those early morning newspapers that they would supply my dad, then I would listen to radio, listen to news all over the world and all the rest of it. So that actually contributed in building me. But you discover that the same radio, the same transistor radio that you might see someone, maybe a cattle header, a Fulani cattle header with a transistor radio. But on your phone, you have the same app. You have the app of, just name any FM you can think of. So you can as well on your phone listen to radio. While you're driving, you can listen to radio. So these are all mediums of communication, but they are achieving almost the same goal. Now the question is, what makes a book special, a physical book? I don't know, I don't mean to offend our audience, but just imagine your relationship with the opposite sex, a man and a woman, physical relationship. That is the kind of relationship that I attribute to a book, holding a physical book. Sometimes sitting and relaxing under a tree, sometimes lying on the bed, and you are actually having a relationship with an author. Maybe Shakespeare. 15th century. That is like close to 500 years ago. And you're reading something that someone wrote 500 years ago. For me, maybe because of my generation, the experience is different. It's completely different. Because, as I said, I have crisscrossed both worlds. So I can read on my cell phone now, that I know what it feels like when you're holding this book and you're far away, thousands of miles away in England, in Stratford, in Avon, and you can be any author anywhere in the world, holding Things Fall Apart, maybe as an American or as a Brit who have not been to Africa for the first time. But you're right there in Igbo land, holding that book, and you're actually having a very cool conversation with all of this. They are never the same, and I don't think that the book, because if you look at our formal education today and the way our kids are being brought up, you discover that the tradition is still there. Those books that they are carrying up and down is meant for something. They are having relationship with those textbooks. They are having relationship with those recommended literature. So it is not going to leave them anytime soon, no matter how they get, how tech savvy they become, no matter how they get involved with tech and artificial intelligence. This relationship they are having with physical books today is going to remain with them for a very long time. And I will encourage those of us who are parents to make sure that outside the text, outside the school curriculum, we actually engage our kids with all the classics, with all the necessary classics that a lot of us actually grew up on. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Coming back to UCMO, I really want to, talking production, starting with the writing and then, and then moving on to publishing and the rest of them. And then when you say, mainstream publishing is almost non-existent in Nigeria right now. Just a few publishing houses now do that. When you just take your manuscripts to them, to the publisher, and you don't pay a dime, and then they now take over the rest of the process, which involves even editing, proofreading, reviews, and then marketing and the rest of them. So, and now from what has been said, that it's not very easy for us to write a book, kind of within a week, push it out, just do something, and then digitally is out within one week or so. which was not like that in those days when it might take 2 years, 3 years to get a book out, of press. So I think danger in it might be something about the editorial aspect, the editorial content of the books that we might be producing nowadays, digitally. That the publishing engagement has become so democratized that you can wake up, write something, get AI to edit it or whatever, and push it out within days. And I've said that one shouldn't really rely so much on AI for editing for everything, really. So if you agree with me, then maybe we'll now agree that there's a need to engage human editors, maybe professional editors, which is actually different from you writing a manuscript and now giving it to a friend, which is the normal practice. It's a popular thing around here. That you write your book, you give it to a friend to edit, to help you edit. And it's not going to do it professionally because you understand what I'm saying. There's a difference. So, how much of professional editing would you say, because for someone that has published so many books and all that, what I'm trying to consider the role, or maybe your perception of the role of the editor, in your publications, which I feel is very important.
All right, thank you, sir. So I got about 3 or 4 questions from that. So the first one is, how are we so sure that our professional editors are not using AI as of now? AI assists them, Some of them, they're very good. AI helps them, then they do the cleanup. So it is here to help, and I know that some people would still use it. Even after you pay them to professionally edit your work, they use AI to assist themselves, and they look at that. So that's one thing, Secondly, for people releasing books in a week, back in the day, I sincerely believe that authors were limited to their publishers and what their publishers wanted. Sales and quality book and all of that. So for writers now, I mentioned something when we started, the MAT, the medium has changed, the audience has changed, technology has changed, right? So a lot of people might not be driven by the money. They want the influence, the recognition. Why? You ask the first question about why do you write? And you have told someone why you write and he found it hard to believe. Please do not let anybody confuse you on your purpose of writing. If you are writing as a passion and your goal or the reason you write is to reach others, to inspire others, to teach, that's a fantastic purpose. When you want to move that passion into profession, it's a different ballgame. As a business major, I know that there are principles to business. You have to apply it if you need to move from passion to profession. So you cannot say, oh, now I've seen that I write well, I want to sell my work, and you treat the business as you would your passion. So you need to understand business 101 and then you move to business. If your purpose has changed from inspiring and teaching others to selling the books. Right, so that's how it moves. So to the first one, professional editing, is good to use the professional editor. I recently published a book that's called Dear Self-Published Author, It Is Your Time. So that book is actually teaching self-published authors to publish their books, saving costs. Because it's a lot, and you might not find traditional publishers or who can help you publish your books, but you can actually do it yourself by saving costs as well. So there are different things that are lined up there on how to monetize your work. But most importantly, if you need to move into the business idea, you must follow the business structure and business principles it will help you to succeed. So editing, very important. You need to bring out quality work as well, so people can read and recommend your work, but you can also use AI, professional, or both, hybrid, to do that. Thank you.
Before you hang up, I think, in your publications you use, I can see the imprint of AI. So how much of credit have you really verbalized, in your books, to at least ascribe to the input of AI? Well, you actually said something about how AI has been assisting in your publications, and I know things about maybe ethical issues, about how you acknowledge people who contributed in one way. So, would you say that authors should also acknowledge the contribution or the input of AI if they use AI in the...
Yeah, so even if you publish on Amazon, for example, they would ask you about your use of AI. Okay. So there are two different uses of AI. So did you use AI to edit or did you use to create? So they ask you those two questions and you should be able to, Grammarly is an editing tool that so many people use. It's become second nature. In fact, it's been there before the ChatGPTs, but Amazon never picked it up as AI or any of that. But it has played that role before. It has helped so many editors. I had an editor who actually used that as well, but used both. So the Grammarly and the AI is more to save time. So after it's done the first round, they go back and do the second one to check what the AI has done. So for acknowledgements, yes. I have a book I'm working on. In fact, I wrote the, let's say the acknowledgement first by saying that I think God answered my prayers, because with all the ideas in my head keeping me up at night, I was praying for something that would help me. Instead of giving me 3 heads, 10 arms, loads of fingers, and I wanted something that would help me to take my writing structure and assist in developing something faster that I would put soul into. So I have reserved AI for this project because I know that AI would help. I know it's an answer to my prayer. Nothing in this world came from nowhere. Everything has been given to us, and I believe that this is the help that so many people need, but they don't know, they've not understood how to use it. And yes, it's not been here forever. But as an HR person, I know that whenever something new comes, you will not know until you cannot predict. But when they come, you should be able to start understanding it, to train others to use it. So we are here with AI now. AI might go, something else comes. When that one comes, it's our duty to learn, understand it, and know how to use it. So yes, acknowledging AI is good. So my next work that I want to use AI to work on, it's already acknowledged in advance.
Thank you very much. Tony, what's your final word, really, from your experience and the rest of them? At least talking to a lot of aspiring writers, young writers,
Okay, thank you.
The use of AI, right?
Yeah, thank you. So what I tell people, particularly the young writers, is that AI has actually changed the dynamics of literature. It now helps people to develop their ideas and then broaden whatever it is they are trying to pass across to the world. So in as much as we cannot do without AI, to be very candid, if you're not using it 100% in the creation of your literary ideas, trust me, you will be needing it for marketing, for distribution, because you want your book to have a global reach. If you're saying, oh no, I don't want to use AI at all, then it means that you just want to publish your book here and then your book just dies here. People out there do not get access to your book. So yeah, AI has come to stay, and trust me, we are going to even have, because it's at the baby stage, it's going to get better. So as writers, do not forget the originality. You need to know what you're pouring out. Last event we had with girls at the International Day of the Girl Child, I had a particular girl that wrote a poem, and she had done, I think, 2 stanzas, and she was taught. I could see she was struggling with the idea, it wasn't flowing, and we had a limited time. So I got the draft from her, I put it on ChatGPT, and then we got a broader perspective of the poem. But I felt like it was too mature, right? It wasn't telling an authentic story. So I told AI that this is a girl child that just wants to talk about the voice of the girl, and I want something in that, perspective. And I got something that actually resonated with her. And when she saw it, she was like, "Oh, thank you, Ma. How did you do it?" And I told her, well, because we had limited time, if we had enough time, I would have told you to maybe try harder, because you're still growing, and I wouldn't want you at this stage to be overly dependent on AI. So yes, as writers, we would need AI, particularly in the aspect of distribution, marketing, for our books to have a wider audience reach. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, sir.
Very engaged, and I must appreciate the panel and you, sir, for this beautiful conversation. But you see, we should understand the science of contemporary times in terms of technology. I should also understand that the people who give us these tools have lots of ideas. By virtue of privilege, I've interacted with a lot of them firsthand, and I understand that their motivations are beyond money, is control. And they've come to understand that the capacity of the human mind, as you rightly said, to paraphrase the words, is beyond limits. And for many who do not understand, the joys of technological ease also numbs the resilient capacity of the brain to think. And that is why I have to say here that despite the privileges and the advantages of these tools that are available to us, it also has covert disadvantages that we have to be wary of. I will not allow my children to have access to this gadget at a certain age, to fear what, as they say. Because what the... Hello? Okay, I'm back now. Because one of the things we fail to understand is the human mind naturally should encounter the obstacles that enables resilience towards intellection. Excuse me, that is neuroscience. The people in the field of information communication technology believes in the ease of things. And they believe as we move forward, we evolve into a state where we are able to allow ease. But we also know that the human body stays longer in health because of its capacity to surmount the surrounding challenges. One of the reasons why COVID did not kill us is because of physical activity beyond the tropics. COVID killed many people in the West because they drive short distances that we walk. They eat foods that have been so processed. Let me tell you, if you are privileged to live in the West, I can guarantee if you don't talk to yourself and your family, you will destroy your immune system. Because they believe in doing all sorts of things. For those of you who are here, I want you to read into science has helped the world. But science has evolved from the noble science that we know it today to become something that people are controlling. That people are questioning. In the US right now, I think within the next 2-3 months, they'll stop using dyes in food. some food we eat here don't have dyes. And they've done it over the years and people have looked away because some people are profiting from it. So I'm saying that this discussion about AI is brilliant. Dr. Agoi said something about the fact that when it comes to his creative work, he will not allow AI to take the lead. I will never allow AI to correct my work. AI can go to places. I will correct my grammar. Thank God I sit down for class. I will do those things myself. I didn't jump the fence. I understand grammar. I understand the mechanics of grammar. I will correct it myself. And another thing that you don't understand is, just listen to this. When you allow corrections in on your gadgets, when you are making messages, at some point, it's able to predict the words that you're thinking. Then, before you know, you just fall into that trap of allowing it to decide the thought process. You have lost your creativity. Craft your words. Bullshit is suggestion. Not because it's bad, because it's gradually numbing you into its dependency mode. And I tell you, that is what the brain is not created to accept. You see, this discussion is more serious. And there is a market for every AI dependency activity. There is data profit for the owners of the engine room. It's not bad. I appreciate what technology has done. But we must know that that is also a fact. That there's a battle we must fight. Let's talk about this. Let me take it a little further. And I'm sorry if I'm taking your time here. In recent times, we've been discussing AI. They've gone to Dubai, they've gone to France, they'll go to South Africa. There is no AI agenda for Africa. No AI agenda. Essentially, everything about artificial intelligence is going to be controlled by the West. And they have a new generation of people that did not sit down with books like us, who are introduced from birth to gadgets. And that means that is what they know. And I'm grateful that you're doing that to your daughter, providing her with the classics to read. And I want to advise you and mothers, please, I want to beg you, we can't do this alone. I did hear that since morning, Madam Diaz. Okay, she goes to work too, but I've been out longer. So that means our mother, that's why we cannot have uneducated, unintelligent women. We cannot. We will suffer. Forget about all this ideology, emancipation, una go here, 20 years. You need to see what is happening to males in the West, because people have gained independence to the point where they have eliminated their fathers from the picture. They are suffering. Excuse me, Nigerian woman. Hold your place of honor strong. Don't allow media. Some of us know what they have for there. Forget all this what they talk for here. So back to the business. There is no African agenda for artificial intelligence. That simply means the aggregate of what we put out is still screened. If I send a mail, it goes to their server before it comes back here. Forget it. At some point, whether it was SATCOM 1 or 2, got missing in the sphere. Let's understand that we have to be the foot soldiers fighting our battle. If the people in government, do you know that only 2 days ago, they have removed the learning of indigenous languages from the curriculum? That is the stupidest thing. I want to tell you to come and vote and choose your so you're it is time for people who are also culture writers, creative writers, those in the academia to join politics and fight. And you do so fucking intelligently. Permit my language. Because this time I have to say, I don't give a damn about what's happening here. You see, I'm angry that in discussions like this, we don't have people standing at that door. Sorry, sir. And asking questions because they don't value what we're talking about. You see, I've been here, I've digested everything I've been saying here. Where are the people that we're fighting for? They have left. They are endangered Homo sapiens. They don't even understand. So you have seen, your generation is my own too, sir. We were here, we've been on this forefront for years. Before this internet took everything over, I punished my university students who use AI to do my assignment. In class, I ensure spontaneous presentation. You will suffer. Because that brain what God give you, you must use that. Some of my recently graduated students are here. They'll be here. Some of them are here. and make sure they sweat. I don't hate them. I'm making them useful for their parents. The one that don't like me, you can go. So far I didn't sexually harass you. Your brain must work. So we have to start now. As you write, begin to think, what is the agenda of AI for Africa? There is no idea. Only ensure you teach your children your indigenous language. I speak Yoruba, I understand Spanish, Igbo, I speak some French, I speak some Spanish. Excuse me, it was deliberate. It was deliberate, or else you are gone. Even Portuguese self should collect me as visitor. Because the way the world is going, if you do not take yourself out of the mad crowd that refuse to understand, you'll be lost. So please, as you keep writing, man, I use AI to read, but I limit it. I make it to understand that I'm the Lord of my creative capacities, not the machine. So I'd like us to please engage our children, engage those who matter, deliberate at times, collect their phone. Just let them begin to, do you know that some of them cannot even do anything without phones now? Yeah. And this brain, we have not used 5% of it. Now they're not collecting 3.5% again. So we're left 1.5% out of the 100. So let's understand that there's a battle we are fighting. That is why I am pissed off today that we don't have this place full of human beings. This is supposed to be one of the busiest sessions today. I don't care where they are. And I want to tell you, Augusta, this recording, you must make sure you Mixler and ensure the person who writes it writes well. Will not forgive you. Write well. There has to be a summary of this on YouTube when you post it. Put succinct summary of it. Because it is key. Let's understand the issue of neocolonization is real and properly structured. If you like, be deceiving yourself. I'm sorry, Authentic. Nobody will tell you, now you go use your hand. Nobody will happen around you. I'm grateful for this privilege. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Before you spoke, thank you very much. I listened to you people, and me practically spoke my mind because I wanted to ask you a question, all of you. What is the cost of AI? If a product, if something is free, then you, the consumer, are the product, right? You can't tell me that you are feeding. Okay, somebody was saying, oh, you feed your AI. You're empowering the AI. So tomorrow, if he feeds his AI with his information, okay, I want to write this book, do this, do that. Tomorrow I put up a query, and when the query is responding to me, it is practically giving me his work. That's nothing to brag about. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. I don't think I have regard. I think that this thing, this morning we've heard people brag about how they've been able to create books with AI. At what cost? What are the potential dangers? In Europe, everybody's talking about data protection, and we're so happy to give up our own, and we're so excited about it. It is wrong. We need to step back and think about this thing. It's not just, we're just consuming. That's how before, at some point, even chewing stick we used to import. That's the same thing happening again. I'm sorry, I'm not impressed. Can we do better for ourselves, for tomorrow? Now you're saying you taught a little girl to use AI. For life, that girl will never work. You have shown her shortcuts. I don't know. I'm very passionate. I don't know.
All right. Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Let me quickly address that. Like I said, right, she got stuck and I didn't have time on my hands. I didn't show her. If you heard me correctly, she asked me, I mentioned that she asked me, how did you do it? I didn't show her. I didn't tell her what I did. I just shared with her. That's what I said, that I had to use that to quickly achieve what I wanted to achieve. And it wasn't because she didn't have the idea. She had written 2 stanzas. She needed just an additional stanza, and she was taught. And I needed to quickly do that to achieve what I wanted to achieve. And when she asked me, "Oh, how did you do it?" I said, "Oh, you know, I write and all of that, but I got it right." So.
So before we used to have like all this, CORA-PEN or something, when children do solve mathematical equations. No, before we used to have like all these television programs where on the spot children would solve mathematical equations in 30 seconds, in 60 seconds. I think after reading for the last since 2017, I run book clubs in schools across the country. I teach children, so I know that pressure. You could have prompted her to finish it off. I'm saying that, thank you for sharing that, and it's good that, because you never know when you find yourself in that context again, but you could have given her prompts to help her complete it. Even, maybe I'm too passionate about it, maybe I should just, sorry.
I thank you for the contributions, the passion, everything is fine. We are not saying things differently. We are not saying things differently. We as people who, I would say, condemn fully the technology, we're still using it, all of us. The way that you say we feed AI with our information is giving somebody else is the same way that writers get inspired by other people's books. One of the famous artists, I don't know if it was Da Vinci, one of them said that a good artist or a good writer copies, a great one steals. So yes, technology has its ups and downs. Nobody has disputed it. You know, yes, exactly. So sometimes we actually read other people's books to get inspiration. You know, it's the same thing as getting what has been put online and all of that. We're not saying that it is perfect. It is not perfect. It is what we have in our time. We have to understand it. And that's what I said at the beginning. When something new comes up, we need to understand it. And Dr. Folu was talking about, you know, parting words to the young people. What I was actually going to say for that is, when anything comes out newly, we need to understand how it works. My logo or my mantra has always been this: imagination is limitless. Don't let anything limit it. You know, so you understand how these tools work, then you know how to use it, right? Even as publishers, why do we have our books online? We need to still reach people. So we have to understand how to use them and use them wisely. That is the whole idea. You know, it's not about bragging or all of that, but understand how it's being used and use it well.
Thank you very much. Ralph, now, before I get to it now. Okay, yes, please, let's have the final word from him. Wait a minute, I'll give that to you. So, I said it here before that I'm hardly comfortable using AI to write my poetry. I've not done it before. And not because I prefer stuff to the digital format, but I just do not want to lose my style and my voice. A lot of people would recognize my poems, even without me putting my name there. They would say this is like Folu Agoi or something. That is one thing I'm really passionate about. I want to maintain that, and I don't want any AI involvement. You know, so that's one thing. A lot of our students really have had to use. So in my institution, I've been coordinating a literary association, and I've seen the enthusiasm of our students, especially about poetry. A lot of them are poets, But I discovered that a lot of the poems that they've been churning out do not look real to me. Don't be, and I called so I now called one of those guys. The guy was very passionate about writing and was writing, and at the point I said she writes Hausa poetry or something, and he wrote it, and I now called him, come and read this poem. That was when he now really. It was a fine poem, long poem in Hausa. But come and read, he couldn't read a single word of that poem. So and a lot of them are great poets, but you know that they have been using AI to do their which is something. That's why even around the world, I know the use of AI has been a kind of big threat, even in universities, in schools, universities, even in Australia and the rest. And I think if I find out that any of my students, have used AI in answering my questions, I will definitely, because as CMO said, that quoting Oscar Wilde, that you got to be smart, even in using somebody else's idea, even expressions, you got to be smart in the way you actually, maybe plagiarize in quotes, without being found out. I think that's something about your creativity. Your creativity actually manifests in the way you use it in a very smart way, without being caught. Yes, that's your effort in it. And so that's one thing. That's why I think I want to say that we should not really encourage our students, our young ones, to really start relying on AI. Now, because we need a lot of maturity to handle AI. You want to be on top of the game. You want to be the master. If it's the kind of partnership, at least you are the leader, really, of the team. And they won't be able to handle that anyway. So that's why I think we should discourage that. We should just let them think, and at least and it's possible. So we'll get back to you, sir. But Ralph would say something, and then I have just one last question for you, and then we'll open up the space here.
Okay. I think we've made a good attempt in addressing this particular theme. Yes, it is very complex, and we also know that technology comes with every technological invention or advancement comes with a lot of control. That being said, since there is a battle of, I think there is this book here, when I got into advertising and public relations, there was a book by Arise or something, Positioning, the Battle of the Mind. So since we are in a world where the mind, being the greatest weapon, is in constant battle across continents, I think what we need to do around the world is to make sure, as almost everybody has said, that there is originality, that we are prepared for what we have on our hands. Just like Western education as we have it today, we all know how the history started, but I doubt if an Achebe or a Shoyinka or J.P. Clark or any of those first generation of writers could have done what they did with AI, as a lot of us are trying to depend so much on it, because it has more to do with the cultural nuance. You can't handle that aspect. AI cannot handle that aspect. Even the culture where we come from, whether it is Igbo, Yoruba, Hausa, Efik, name any of our culture, you as someone who is a product of that culture will have to learn, will have to master it over time to understand the nuances, not to talk of artificial intelligence. So, and the only way we can do this, can master that, is to first of all master our own environment. Because the whole of Western education as we know it, from the Greek, you see what is written at the lintel of the temple: man, know thyself, unexamined life is not worth living. Unfortunately, we go through school today, we acquire our first degree, sometimes second degree. You see a lot of professors who have not even known, who don't have 1% not self-knowledge, knowledge of themselves, but they have mastered almost all the Western classics and all the Western philosophical tradition. So I think what we need as Africans is to actually master our environment, master our culture, then use AI as a collaborator to actually move forward. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Final words from you. This is something that I think might be useful to everybody, especially the women. I want to ask me, at least in one of your responses, you saying something about you having to stay up night after night and trying to write a book or something. And I know you to be a mother, a wife, so for how, maybe, okay, you say you have a very understanding husband or something, because that's something about why we have more male writers, so to speak, than women writers. So I want to find out how you've been able to actually maybe break what seems to be a kind of jinx. You are a woman with a lot of feminine responsibilities, and you've been able to write about 14 books over time, and most of your writing really happens in the night, after midnight, when you should be, I don't know. So.
All right. So thank you. For your life, you need a balance, right? So you need to understand and create that balance. I also come from the HR point of view, where people talk about work-life balance, then move into work-life integration, right? So who says that, especially in our times now, there's hybrid work, there's so much going on that you don't have to be at work physically 9 to 5 any longer. Things have changed. The way of work has actually changed, right? So I know that, okay, the schools maintain their work hours. When the child is out of school, in school, you do what you have to do while the child is in school. When the child is back, you already have the structure in which you want them to grow in. Is it after school? Is it homework, dinner, bedtime? You structure all of that for your child. The rest of the time is for you to know how to manage. So structure is important, and I mentioned something earlier that these ideas keep me up at night, and I had to create a structure to writing that helped me to start writing. I have so many books, but I didn't write them all in 1 year. So I always tell someone this, that when I wrote a book in under 2 weeks, right? I'll write a book in under 2 weeks. I'll have months or weeks of not writing, because I finished one that would naturally take someone 5 months to write. And I was told that, the book that you had written was too sudden.
Recording in progress.
I entered the book for a contest anonymously. It was shortlisted, became a finalist, right? Because I followed a structure. You have to understand and know what works for you. It is very important. Yeah, so what I would advise, whether you're a working mom, working dad, in a relationship, understand your time and manage it, make it work for you, right? If you don't have a structure, then you will not achieve success eventually.
That's not de-emphasizing the role of the gentleman. Definitely, you need to really give credit to whom it's due, really. You mean, yourself, I'm saying that without his understanding, I don't think you will be able to achieve a fraction of what.
That's why I said you work on structure. So obviously it's a family, so it's not one-sided, it's both sides.
Give me the gratitude.
So if you see all my books, it's always there.
Okay, that's
I mean, if you read a book from cover to cover, I always read that. I know who has supported this person in writing, how they have done it. You've asked about this almost 10 years ago, and almost every year you still ask me, and I say yes. Gratitude is giving, and for records, he's also in the same industry, he's a filmmaker, so we have that understanding. You know, it's not a random writing phase or craze or any of that. You know, it's been discussed, it's understood.
Thank you very much. That's understood. Yeah. Yes, I think this is where we're going to leave the discussion. Thank you very much, everybody, for hanging around till now, almost 6 o'clock. And I hope that we've actually been able to get you entertained and informed. But then she was even asking whether there's anybody that has a question or comment. You know, the gentleman has left, and so I just I assume that there's no question. So we just wrap up. Yes, definitely. At least but the gentleman, you know, wanted to ask. He has something, but he's left. So I think for time, I have really thought of stampeding our barrister to say something. You can't be here and you know, lawyers are known for something. You know, so you are a learned, not learned colleague, really. No. You are a learned man.
Both from the Lagoon city of the pen, so I must talk so that I can go back home safely and surely. I think it's a wonderful talk, though I have a very long day, and in between dozing off my area, and we have had a panel session on AI and literary festival administration. I'm Ayo Adebuli, I'm the festival convener of Ife Book and Art Festival. Events later in December. But I think locating the way forward for artificial intelligence and publishing in finance, what is changing, and the question of what is called content or what is called originality has shifted far away from the days of the human imagination just being solely responsible for imagination. I think since the 2020 pandemic, it was the year of human imagination, because humans have to imagine the response to that global pandemic in the first instance, the survival of our own species of animals. You understand what I mean? Now going further is that as higher animals, we also have to imagine our imagination, and that was the response of science and technology to that the imagination. So there's no cast in stone definition for what is original, what is qualitative, or anyway what is really the question of who writes what and all of that. Because I'm trying to get, for instance, you say your works you have written, for instance, that you said won some literary awards. It is still an input of your contribution. It is whatever you put into AI that AI will give you. Okay, alright. So I think for us in Africa, especially starting from the normal publishing award and the prize, I think we're now going to Kenneth Publishing Prize. The question is technology, artificial intelligence, robotics, machine learning will also come into the publishing process. I hope I get it.
Yes, it's serious.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, yes. She wants to clarify something.
Yes, I want to clarify. My 40 books were written before AI. I've been writing for over 10 years. Before AI came up, I've been writing the books. I was talking about using AI for future projects and to see how they can help just to try and understand it. That's the whole idea. But all the other books, I've been writing them before AI. So the 1 or 2 weeks before, I wrote that years back before AI. Thank you.
So, yeah, thank you very much. I want to thank Tathagata, Secretary of PEN Nigeria. He's been a very active member of PEN for ages. Thank you very much, sir, for coming around. Madam President.